Hello and welcome to Makeshift Minis. Today I'm going to be making a green dragon. I've been meaning to make one for a while now. It took me a while to decide on what kind of dragon I would make since there's nothing quite as iconic for any fantasy game. I start by straightening out wires for the armature. There's a lot of areas that need support, so I need much more wire than I would for a simpler mini. I tie multiple wires together using a stripped pipe cleaner. These wires will be the armature for the body and limbs. Once they're all firmly in place, I use hot glue to make sure they stay together. After adding another wire for the hind legs, I start filling out the body. I add the most hot glue at the chest and hips, both to secure everything in place and to properly shape it. Once I'm satisfied with how the body is shaped, I begin building the neck and tail with hot glue. Building a dragon has a lot of steps, and I've only just gotten started. Using a whole piece of wire, I make the frame for one of the most important pieces of a dragon, the wings. To make my life easier, I glue small pieces of wire to the dragon's hind legs to make its feet. Once the wires are in place, I can cover the feet in hot glue and have the mini stand up. Using a few thin wires, I make the inner wing bones. I use tweezers to bend a loop on the end of the wire and then thread it onto the wing. Once all three wires are in place and trimmed to length, I glue them together at the joint. After I properly position the wires in the wings, I use hot glue to lock them in place and make them a bit more sturdy. At this point, I decided the dragon's tail was too short, so I extended it using some thin wire. After posing the tail and covering it in hot glue, I use two wires to make the base for the head. One of the more memorable things about a green dragon is its crest running down its back. To make a frame for it, I cut small pieces of wire and glue them down its back. The last part of the armature I make are the foreclaws. I glue small pieces of wire to the wrist to make them. With the armature finally finished, I can start working on details. I put saran wrap over the pieces of wire running down the dragon's back to fill out the crest. This is somewhat annoying to do since saran wrap sticks to itself and apparently hot glue. The wings are covered in a similar way to the crest. I use saran wrap to fill in the wing membrane. Once everything's in place, I use some hot glue to attach the base of the wing to the body. To make sure the wing bones are visible when the dragon is painted, I run beads of hot glue down the wires. I cover the dragon in homemade porcelain clay to refine its shape. I use DM Scotty's recipe, and I'll leave a link in the description down below. Silicone sculpting tools are very useful to push clay into small areas that fingers can't reach. The clay doesn't stick to the tools either, which is always a plus. I cover areas where multiple parts come together, like the base of the wings or the frill, to make sure everything blends together nicely. Since the tail is still very flexible, I cover it in porcelain clay because when it cures it's fairly hard and will keep its shape. The main problem with working with porcelain clay outside of how sticky it is that it dries out. Every so often you need to dampen it to keep things easy to work with. I think it was the right decision to put off adding details to the head until now. Clay is more pliable and has a longer working time than hot glue, so I can add details like horns and teeth. While I leave the mini to cure for a few hours, I take the time to make a base. After spreading superglue over a bottle cap, I cover it in borax, which cures it near instantly. Once I tap off the excess, I decorate the base with a few pieces of cork for rocks. With the mini finally cured, I can glue it to the base. After priming the dragon with what I have on hand, which apparently was green, I give it a base coat of dark green. I use the dark green for most of the body, except for the wing membranes and the crest. After I give the body a few coats, I use a lighter green for the wing membranes. Thankfully, there's fewer corners for me to work around, so painting's fairly straightforward. Once I'm done painting the dragon, I base coat the ground a light brown and the rocks a dark gray pavement. Now that all the base coats are finally done, I dry brush the wings and crest a lime green. Working my way up through the shades, I lightly dry brush yellow on the wings. When I get to the body, I dry brush the light green that I used as the wing's base coat. With the mini finally finished, I paint the base black. I always find that this is like seeing the finish line on a project. With everything done, it's time for the glamour shots. Unfortunately, my light situation wasn't cooperating too much. I've always liked dragons, so this project was a joy to put together. I spent nearly 4 hours working on this, most of it just sculpting. I could have definitely added more detail if I spent more time on it, but I'm happy with how it came out. Please like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below. Take care, be well, and until next time.